How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video, and this time it's regarding an interesting topic for discussion. So I'm trying to start doing more videos about Dragon Ball Super that aren't just deck profiles and event coverage, as I mentioned before. And for this one, I wanted to talk about a topic that's become something more used as an insult over the years of TCGs, and that is net decking. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the phrase, net decking is a term that means taking someone else's deck, list, or idea, typically from the internet these days, and copying it. Players that do this are referred to as net deckers, which is also a phrase that carries a very heavy and sometimes even toxic association in the eyes of some players. Generally, when it's used to describe the spectrum of players who copy another player's deck, card for card, but sometimes, and even more recently, it's used to refer to anyone who plays a deck that is highly represented in the meta, even if they've personalized it to their own style of play. Now, you might even be wondering, why is it that net decking has become such a demeaning term? Well, to answer that question, we need to understand that for some players that play TCGs, the creativity behind deck building is a big factor. And these same players enjoy testing their lists and ideas with those around them. They will often find that when playing against a net decker, it can be frustrating, and for many reasons. Like, it could be that they were hoping to play against different and exciting strategies, not the same one over and over again. Or it could be that they enjoy seeing new and interesting concepts other players come up with instead of the same copy and paste lists. Or it could even be the fact that they feel that they would learn best by playing against a varied field of decks. Now, these are all valid feelings, and because of this, many people who feel this way might find it difficult to understand why people would net deck. As for them, the creative process behind their deck is the amazingly enjoyable and rewarding experience, and that they experience a strong sense of pride when piloting decks that showcase their talents as a deck builder. And then sometimes they'll often even ask themselves the question, why would someone forgo this and take a deck they didn't build? Now, I do have an answer to that, but to answer that, you need to know a really big secret, and that is, not everyone is good at deck building. As I'm sure everybody's experienced in their time playing TCGs, like when they first start playing one, when confronted with a blank page on like a site like DBSCG Planet for Dragon Ball Super, it's easy for your mind to suddenly just go blank, like writer's block sets in, and you might even start asking yourself, when trying to create a list, where do I start? Or you might ask yourself, what else can I add, if you're thinking of what to add when finishing filling out a list. Now, there also is another big secret to consider as well, and that is that not everybody has time for deck building. As I'm sure it's true for most of the player base, most players have real-world time constraints. Like, it could be their job, family responsibility, or they just simply don't have time to set aside for constructing a deck of their own. Also, you do have some players that might even consider deck building to be just a waste of time, as they feel that they can just improve as a player better by playing more and more games. Now, this is a sentiment that, since the meta is forever changing due to new cards being released so quickly, which is actually a big issue in the Dragon Ball Super card game, and that you'll use multiple different decks for every time playing the game, it's much better to just practice the fundamentals of the game. Now, you do have to consider with this that maybe a player isn't good at coming up with a build, but they love the leader, theme, or archetype that is based on. One of the best ways to start learning how to construct your own list, really, is to go about finding a list, put it together to test, and then start tinkering and experiment with it by making changes to suit your style of play. Like, maybe you watched a video on YouTube and you got excited to try building a deck for yourself. You got to remember that many players have spent ages and ages building decks, and it's silly not to look for them for a bit of inspiration. There are loads of potential decks in Dragon Ball Super and players have spent loads of hours testing some of them. While there are easily some decks that are sitting on top of the current meta, you just got to remember that some events in the game are often won by different dungeons as well. Like, a very good example would be the EU Open Finals in Coventry last year, the year before, whenever we had big events last, before COVID set in. And that was one with set 6 Vegeta, set 6 Gogeta, and even the EU Finals Invitational at Brussels as well, which was won by set 7 Hit. And these were road decks during those metas, but the players piloting them spent a ton of time testing them to feel comfortable with them and take them to the event. Now, this brings me to my next point of how to think about deck building. As in almost any competitive sport, because yeah, TCGs can be classed as sport. I remember Yu-Gi-Oh! Back years ago. It was I think it is considered sport. Like you got players that use a uniform set of tools to compete against each other, and their skill is the deciding factor. And in regards to TCGs, it offers us a load and massive, like very wide array of complex choices and options that we use when constructing our decks. But never forget that a player's individual skill is a big factor in every single game they play. As I'm sure you know if you've been playing it, or if you know, you'll find out that different players have different play styles. They value cards differently, make different conclusions based on different information they've gathered, and learn different lessons from different experiences. Now, that's a lot of differences there, but I'm sure you get my point. Because no two players pilot any deck in the same way, and most top players will like to tell you that they learn something every single time they play a deck, regardless of if they've played the deck or match it before. You can think of it as a puzzle, really. Simply copying a list will surely give you a piece of the puzzle, but without the knowledge and experience to put together, you'll have a hard time completing it and achieving victory. Now let's talk about the different types of net decking. Because when you copy a list, there will always be some players who prefer to adjust, tinker, and experiment with it, making it into their own playstyle, while others are just happy with it until they move on to another list. Now, while the player who was happy with the list certainly didn't try as hard to understand their card choices and such, they didn't get any experience that came with experimenting and adjusting it until it came out just right for them. Now, you could argue that they have less of an appreciation for what went into crafting the list, but that may not always be the case. Like, what if, like I previously mentioned, no matter how many times the player made their own list, they just couldn't build it to their liking, so they just prefer now to use what someone else has done well with and shared for others to see. Now, there's nothing entirely wrong with that, but there are just so many ways to construct a deck in Dragon Ball Super, but there is no reason to give someone a hard time for playing a deck they enjoy. Now, we can all admit that. If you are watching this, though, and you do ever consider net decking, there is a good way to go about this, and that is to imitate and innovate. So let's first start with imitate. When it comes to imitating the top decks, it is all about gathering information. You need to look at what is performing well and imitate the deck and strategy. And then you can start a discussion with your friends or your local playtesting group about the winning decks. Ask them and also yourself why they are so successful, and look at the context, like for example the meta they are playing. Once you understand the deck strategy and the reasoning behind the card choices, then you're ready to go for the second part, which is innovate. At this stage, you are then better informed to innovate the list and create your own take on the deck, or even potentially find a new tech that can bring it or your list to the next level. And you never know. Before you know it, you could even start working on reshaping the meta, as we've seen people do, some great deck builders do throughout the game's history. Now, as I was saying when I first started the video, there are some players who do get a bad taste in their mouth when net decking is mentioned, and maybe this video will change that view for anybody with that mindset that's watching. Whether you prefer to play using your own build, the simple fact is that some players will net deck a meta deck if it wins. Although, as if it wins, people will want to play it. When you see a net deck, what you're actually technically seeing is a non-meta deck that was strong enough and interesting enough to be copied. So essentially, net decking is a celebration of those who spent their time and expertise in the creation and perfection of that deck. The benefit of this is that by playing against them, or even familiarizing yourself with them, will put you in a better position to understand and conquer the meta. If some players at your locals are net decking, they could actually be improving your testing and helping you get more practice in. Your locals will start developing and improving to the meta, and maybe you'll even find inspiration among some combos and card synergies in the decks that other players have built. Remember that it's not possible for any one person to build and test all the relevant meta decks in a relevant number of times, so you can let some other players do some of the legwork for you. And by checking out what decks have performed well and giving them a go. You're making yourself wiser about the meta, and you're performing better against it. And in saying that, if players start to net deck a list that you've created, you can be proud of that. Even if it feels like they've copied your hard work, think of it as your deck inspired that player and helped them enjoy something in the Dragon Ball Super card game. And if the Dragon Ball Super community can be cooperative when people ask for competitive or even casual advice, then the more we help the game, then that way, the more we help the game grow and the more enjoyable it'll be for all of us. Now, I hope that this video has given you something to think about next time you're looking at tournament results. Sometimes people make very fun decks, and maybe you're playing something really fun and enjoyable that you like to share with the others who have the same level of enthusiasm about the deck or archetype. Like, for example, for me, I'm inspired constantly by people, by seeing creative ideas people show off, hearing interesting thoughts that players discuss, and unique techs that people try playing. And I know I have inspired others that have with some ideas as well. And Netdecking needs to shake off the stigma and just be called what it really is, and that is research. Whether or not you hate it, give someone else's deck a try and see if it helps you level up your game. Now, I just want to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like, comment down below your thoughts, and lastly hit that subscribe button to support the channel and help me reach my goal of 1K subs. And I'll see you on the next one. So, bye for now.